The shrill sound sliced through the diner, fragile as broken glass. It wasn't loud, yet it carried a raw, urgent fear that made every head turn. A small, trembling voice, fueled more by trust than strength, pierced the tension. "Daddy, please help her." For a heartbeat, the world seemed to pause. Forks hovered mid-air. Coffee cups trembled. Conversations died on lips. And one weary father, slouched in a cracked vinyl booth, felt the center of his universe tilt abruptly. He wasn't a hero. He had no combat training, no desire for confrontation. He was simply a man who had made a vow to his daughter. As long as he drew breath, she would never face darkness alone. Before this story sweeps you further, if you believe in compassion, redemption, and ordinary people performing extraordinary acts, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need a spark of hope, and subscribe to World of Kindness. Don't forget to leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support allows stories like these to reach hearts yearning for light. Marcus Hale had mastered the art of quiet survival. Since losing his wife 3 years ago, life had narrowed into an unrelenting routine. Long shifts, hurried meals, unpaid bills, and whispered prayers over his sleeping daughter, Rohan. He worked nights loading warehouse shipments and mornings driving a school bus. Fatigue clung to his body, and his mind constantly calculated how to stretch another dollar. That evening, he had taken his 6-year-old daughter to the faded roadside diner, the one place that never demanded much from him but brought her so much joy. She adored the flickering neon lights, and the waitress always slipped an extra cherry onto her milkshake. For Marcos, it was a rare sanctuary, a moment to breathe, to sit still, to just be. The trouble began softly, almost imperceptibly, as danger often does. 2 men at the counter, visibly intoxicated since early evening, laughed too loudly, their voices sharp and reckless, when the young waitress dropped a tray, murmuring an apology. One of the men seized her wrist far too tightly, his slurred words carrying menace. The other blocked her escape path, grinning cruelly. Patrons looked away. Phones were scrawled. Minds chose indifference, Marcus observed quietly, weighing his instinct against his fear. He had Rohan to protect. A single misstep could destroy their fragile world. He lowered his gaze, praying the incident would just end without confrontation. It didn't. The waitress struggled, her face pale, panic rising in her eyes. And that's when Rohan slid from the booth, her tiny hands clutching her father's arm. She didn't understand the dynamics of power, or the consequences that could follow. She only knew that someone was suffering, and she knew her father could do something. Her voice, soft but unwavering, echoed across the silent diner. "Daddy, please help her." Marcus felt a surge he couldn't name. Fear still lingered, but it shrank before the immensity of his promise to his daughter. He rose from the booth. Chairs scraped against the linoleum floor. One of the men turned, sneering, and shoved Marcus hard. He staggered, but held his footing. A second shove knocked him further back, laughter ringing in the air. What followed wasn't cinematic. It was raw, immediate, and fueled by pure adrenaline. Marcus reacted instinctively, blocking a swing, leveraging his weight, driving forward. One man crashed into a stool, toppling awkwardly. The other lunged, only to stumble backward, completely disoriented. Within seconds, both were on the ground, stunned more than they were hurt. The diner buzzed with gasps and whispers, not music. Marcus didn't feel triumphant. He felt a gnawing, terrible fear. His hands trembled, his heart raced, and he envisioned police lights, courtrooms, and his daughter asking him why he hadn't just stayed home. The manager quickly called the authorities. The waitress sobbed quietly in a corner. Rohan stood frozen, wide-eyed, not terrified but perplexed. When the officers arrived, witnesses finally spoke up, and the surveillance footage confirmed Marcus's account. He was allowed to leave with a cautionary warning, but he carried a weight heavier than any fine could impose. That night offered no rest. Marcus replayed every single second, haunted by the possibility that he had shattered the life he was barely holding together. The next morning, he sent Rohan off to school after an extra long hug, then trudged to work, expecting the absolute worst. By midday, his supervisor summoned him to the office. Marcus entered to find a man, immaculately dressed, calm and composed, a stark contrast to the warehouse surroundings. "I'm Audrey Cross," the man said, "CEO of the hospitality group that owns the diner." He explained that he had personally reviewed the incident. Marcos braced himself for a reprimand, for termination, for legal threats. Instead, Adrian invited him to sit. He spoke of his own youth, of the helplessness he'd felt witnessing cruelty that was ignored, and how rare true courage, without any expectation of reward, could be. He revealed the waitress had been on the brink of losing her home, and that night was threatening to break her spirit entirely. Marcus's action had done the exact opposite. Adrian assured him the company would handle any legal matters and would fully support the waitress. But there was more. Marcus was offered a new path, a stable daytime role overseeing safety and training across multiple locations, job with steady pay, benefits, and the security he had only dreamed of. Marcus didn't know how to respond. Thoughts of Rohan, of her small but unwavering voice, of the example he hoped to set, overwhelmed him. He just nodded, his heart pounding, tears brimming in his eyes, not from relief alone, but from the incredible realization that courage hadn't destroyed his world. It had transformed it. That evening, Marcus picked Rohan up early from school. Together, they returned to the diner and sat by the window. The waitress greeted them with a genuine smile, completely free of fear. Rohan waved proudly. Marcus held his daughter's hand, listening to the steady rhythm of her heartbeat, and understood that courage often whispers through the smallest of acts, sometimes guided by the simple, unwavering faith of a child. If this story touched you, if it reminded you that even ordinary bravery can ripple further than we can ever imagine, please like this video, share it with someone who might need a little hope, and stay connected with us here at World of Kindness. Before the end, take a moment to comment a single word describing how this story made you feel. Your voice matters. Marcus Hale never became famous. There were no headlines, no viral videos. But on that ordinary night, in a nondescript diner, a tired single father chose courage over fear. And that single choice quietly changed lives forever.